And welcome to Thrift Shop Biography. This is the one about Lady Diana. Thank you for listening. Hello.
Oh, hello.
And so what have you been reading this week?
The book by Andrew Morton about Diana's life that's secretly written by Diana.
Diana who?
Oh, Lady Di, as I always called her. I still call her Lady Di.
Do you know what? Like Lady Di, Princess Diana.
Mm.
I didn't know she was Lady Di before she met Prince Charles. I thought she became Lady Di when she married him. But she was always a lady.
That's a song about that.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did actually.
Okay.
I called her Lady Di my whole life actually.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't realise she was so sort of royal connected.
Yeah, I did
until I read this book.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's the book called again?
It's called Diana, Her True Story.
That's true.
Do you know also what I didn't realise is that when it was first published, her involvement wasn't entirely known, right? It was just some kind of biography by Andrew Morton.
Yeah.
But what's transpired now is that actually she was interviewed at length.
Well, she she almost interviewed herself. She made tons and tons of tapes.
Yeah.
So it is a kind of autobiography.
Yeah.
It is an autobiography
It's an
put together by somebody else.
With voices from her friends and stuff that he also interviewed and brought it all together. Yeah. So it's just basically, she's been dead 25 years. This is as close to the autobiography as we're going to get.
As you're ever going to get.
Yeah.
But I remember all this at the time. I remember it coming out. I remember it being a massive scandal that Prince Charles had an affair, but also that there was so much rumour at the time that it wasn't true. Because this bloke, who is this bloke, Andrew Morton? And he's just made it up. He's making a mint. Everyone's buying the book. And I possibly didn't believe it either. I think, do you remember when the tapes came out?
Were you talking about the Prince Charles tape or the Diana tape? Because they both got done.
Oh, Charles and Camilla.
Oh my God, that's so embarrassing.
So embarrassing.
Oh, yeah, I actually looked for it on the internet, and when I started listening, I couldn't listen to it because it was just so cringy and embarrassing.
Me and my school friend went to a phone box, put 10p in, because I think the number was in the paper or something. Put 10p in and we both listened to it. Oh, it was awful.
I didn't know they did that. What, like the newspaper put a recorded message on that?
Yes, they did.
So fun. I bet they made a fortune.
Yeah. I mean, 10p was a lot to me then. And he was like, I want to be your tampon. And I was like,
beyond. Oh my God. And now he's king. And she's queen. And there is a tape out there with him saying he wants to be her tampon. I mean,
that shouldn't have been allowed. That was criminal.
It was
can't just go and tap people's phones.
Well,
there's a big thing about that. I don't think it's allowed anymore.
Oh, it was about Prince Harry is in court right now.
Is he?
Because of his phone being tapped.
Is he?
Yeah.
Right.
And they tapped Prince William got like a payout a couple of years ago because his and Catherine's phones were tapped as well. So there was a big thing about 5-10 years ago, the Leveson inquiry and the News of the World obviously terminated. It was all because of the phone hacking scandal. Okay. They hacked everyone.
I mean, before this era of Charles and Di, the royal family had more anonymity. They had more of a mystique, and then all this probably beginning with this book blew it all apart. But then actually, there's plenty of scandals over the decades with the royal family.
They've always behaved badly. Yeah. I mean, I know we say, Charles and Diana got divorced, Andrew and Fergie got divorced, but, Henry VIII cut his wife's heads off. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not all of a sudden the modern royal family are terrible
things are actually
people.
Improving if you compare it to that.
That's true, yeah. But I think we do view them differently. Maybe, do you know, who knows? Who knows that the people 500 years ago may also have not liked the monarchy.
It's probably really similar.
Yeah.
Bet nothing changes.
Like half the country like them and half the country don't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people going to have different opinions.
It's true.
Did you like Lady Di before you read this book?
I'm a child of this era. So I was a little kid when they got married. I went to London with my family. We were on the Mall. I saw her go by in the carriage in the dress, and she was waving. I was waving. It was amazing.
Do you mean on her wedding day?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Actually saw everything. I was there. And then we went to outside St Paul's Cathedral and listened to the whole ceremony on the loudspeakers that were out there. Yeah, I was right there. And it was the best day of my life, I told everybody. Forever. And I went back to primary school and told all the kids at school, and they had to make me stand at the front to tell everyone, because I was the only one who'd made this journey to London. But it was a fairy tale, and that's why, obviously, she was trapped in the fairy tale, and that's why she needed to tell this story. Yeah. Because it would be so hard to accept the failure of this marriage unless she explained it properly. And she needed to get in there. She says she needed to get in there with this story before Charles put his side across and they could paint her as insane.
Yeah, right.
Because she was a bit insane. Yeah. It would be very easy.
We'll get to that, but yeah. Bless her.
How about you?
I should say that I'm not a royalist and I never have been. So I've kind of quite liked Diana because she was a pain in their ass.
In some ways, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of just... it's hard not to have sides like with the royal family and Harry and Meghan now. It's just you're bombarded with it every single day. You can't help but form an opinion. So I have to say that I've always kind of sided with Diana. But also, the one thing she wanted to do with these humanitarian endeavours, and you just can't... If you just want to look at that side of her, well, what is there not to like?
Yeah.
She's an amazing person in that respect, that she used her worldwide fame to really shine light on certain things.
Unpopular causes.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually she did some real good.
And it does make you think what she would have continued to do. It's a real... And of course, what a shocker when she died.
Well, I think that's probably why there's a lot of conspiracy about her death, because she had a lot of power that was out of control.
Yeah. Anyway,
should we actually talk about this book?
We shouldn't start with her death, should we? Should we start with her birth?
Well, there you go. It's a quick summary of her entire life.
So, Lady Diana, but she wasn't born a lady.
She wasn't. She was born a little girl. She was born a baby.
She was born a baby in 1961.
Yes.
2 big sisters already.
Yep.
Oh, her parents recently had like a deformed baby that died.
Yeah, only lived 10 days. So that's absolutely traumatic.
Yeah. And that was this, those families needed a son and heir and they didn't get one.
No. The third kid, and it's a girl, and they're totally disappointed.
It's a girl.
So she always feels like a spare part and a nuisance.
Because they've already got 2 girls. They don't need another one.
No.
And then, of course, they go on and have her younger brother, and then the family stops there. But her parents didn't really get on that much, did they? I mean, they got on enough to have 4 children together, 5 children together.
Yeah, but if you've got to produce an heir, that doesn't mean you love each other.
Yeah,
it's just
true.
your job.
Yeah.
I mean, they definitely didn't get on. And the mother left when she was 6.
Yeah.
She went off with a married man. And it's those days again where that was very unusual.
Very, especially in
society.
Society, the upper crusts.
Yeah, I'm sure it's far more usual to have a miserable marriage that you stuck with and they had separate lives. But she actually left and moved in with this bloke. They got a normal flat in Mayfair.
Yeah.
And without servants and just had a relatively normal life.
So like Diana, young Diana, like a child Diana, would divide her time between a country pile where there was staff and stuff.
Yeah, a
with
massive
her dad.
country pile. Sandringham, where she was born, was 200,000 acres, which is really impossible to comprehend.
Yeah.
It's a whole
It's a
city.
town, it is.
Yeah, it's huge. And it was built by Edward VII.
Well, all by himself.
Yeah. Unless it was commissioned by Edward VII. It's royal, isn't it, really?
Yeah. So half her life was there, and then half of it was just in a normal flat with her mum and her new partner.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a really nice pad.
Yeah, of course, Mayfair.
But there weren't servants.
Yeah.
So imagine how many servants they'd have had at the other place. It'd be Downton Abbey to Sherlock Holmes's place.
Yeah. Before her mum left, though, her parents were arguing all the time, and Diana said that even as a child, her mum would just be crying all the time. And
yeah, so she learned that at a young age. But yeah, they were really connected to the royals. Her dad accompanied the Queen and Prince Philip to Australia, for example. So they were really part of that inner circle.
The Queen is godmother to Diana's little brother.
Oh, right.
So that's how connected they are. Yeah. They're in there.
Yeah.
Part of the gang.
Oh, yeah, so when they split up, it was really bitter. The dad was really sad all the time. It really crushed him. And then there was a really bitter custody battle.
And when Diana's granddad died, that meant that the family got upgraded, the posh side of the family. Her dad got upgraded to the Althorpe estate.
That's right.
And that's when she became a lady.
Yeah, they all got titles.
Yeah.
I love it when it says at some point, Diana actually quite often had a fairly normal life. She had that time in Mayfair. And also, she had her own horse called Souffle. Normal.
I think she's about 14 when she becomes a lady. Oh, and they don't like the dad's new wife, do they?
Dad's new wife is fascinating. She's called Rain.
Yeah.
Which is already amazing. And they called her Acid Rain. They nicknamed her Acid Rain.
And also, like, when she came over and it was all miserable, they would say, oh, Rain stopped playing.
Yeah. But she was Barbara Cartland's daughter.
Yes.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
It's just a really, really random. So Barbara Cartland is Lady Di's step-grandmother.
Yeah.
That's really nuts. But it said when Lady Di was at school, it said she was really interested in royal history and romantic novels.
Oh, really?
I mean, her destiny's set there, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
So if you've got all sort of princessy dreams...
Yeah, she wanted to meet a prince, and she did.
And I know that's got a lot of girls' dreams, but...
I know, but the weirdest thing I find out of all of this early courtship is that Prince Charles was actually going out with Diana's older sister first.
Yes.
That's weird, isn't it?
It's weird.
I think those circles of the upper classes, like the upper classes, are very incestuous and a bit weird.
They definitely are.
Yeah, they're all a bit related in some way, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're going out with a sister and then she's got a pretty younger sister, you probably do move on to her next.
Yeah.
But this is weird. When Sarah was dating Prince Charles and when Diana is dating Prince Charles, they both have to call him Sir.
Yeah, but he is Prince Charles.
Yeah. There's just an immense power imbalance from the start.
There really is, yeah. She was only 16 when she first met him. She was invited on a hunting outing with her older sister. Mm-hmm. And she said that her first impressions were, what a sad man.
What a sad man, yeah.
But he was sad. He was about 30-ish, single, which was very old to be single at that time, especially when you're supposed to be becoming a dad. Lots of pressure on him.
To create the next heir.
Yeah, and he was in the news all the time as the most eligible bachelor. Mm-hmm. He was considered a fairly handsome and charming fellow.
Definitely.
And I guess we now know he absolutely loved somebody he couldn't marry. He had a chance to marry her, though.
You're talking about Camilla, right? Or Camilla. Yeah, he liked Camilla, but this was his problem. So they met like in this way before Diana, and he liked her. She loved him. Yeah. But he wouldn't commit to her because he's a young prince. He's a dashing bachelor. He's basically getting lots of women. Yeah. And he doesn't want to, at his younger age, give it up for one woman, Camilla. So she gets fed up of waiting and she goes and marries somebody else. And then his mate.
Parker Bowles.
And then, of course, that you know what it's like when you can't have someone. And so now he wants her more than ever. And it's too late now because she's married. So, do you know what? I demonise Camilla.
It's actually his fault.
But at this moment in time, in the 1970s, it's actually Charles's fault for not getting in with Camilla when he should have done. Because he was always thinking the grass is greener, who's going to come along next? He is a bit of an odd fish, actually, when it comes to women. He is being a playboy in society. And in fact, before Diana, he had two semi-serious girls. See, it's so hard to know where all of these women intersect. But like in the couple years before Diana, he was seeing quite a few different women. And there's one called Anna. And I think this really shows what Prince Charles, how he treated women. It says that Anna complained bitterly when he virtually ignored... So he's going out with her.
That's right,
right? And he's virtually ignoring her during a ball to celebrate the Queen Mother's 80th birthday. Anna was overheard. She raged at Prince Charles. Don't ignore me like that again. I've never been treated so badly in my life. No one treats me like that, not even you. Right? The next time they date, he takes her out to a polo ball and he dances all night with Camilla. Yeah. Like, he treats women terribly.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's at that point married and she's treating her husband terribly.
That's the one thing in this book. It talks a lot about Prince Charles and Camilla and Diana, like the threesome that's going on. It barely mentions Camilla's husband.
He's never mentioned.
And you kind of think, God, she's cheating on her husband.
Right in front of her husband the whole time. And they've got kids.
He's like the most forgotten cheated on man in history. Yeah. It's like he doesn't exist.
Dolly Parton's husband, except she never cheated on him. But he's an invisible man.
Do you know what? The whole thing about Camilla, like, people judge her on how she treated Diana and everything that happened in the Charles relationship. But at the same time, nobody also seems to be running her down for cheating on her husband.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like, constantly. She's a piece of work.
A piece of work.
Yeah,
but
right.
It is weird that he's left out of the story.
Yeah.
He's never mentioned.
Do you know what then? Our present King and Queen of England are like serial shaggers.
Of course they are.
Do you know, but again, like we were saying earlier, if you go back through history, they're all serial shaggers, aren't they? I never really got the impression that Queen Elizabeth II was a serial shagger.
No, I don't. I think she's the
Philip
exception.
I bet Philip was.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. He definitely was.
So why isn't she?
I think she was really dedicated.
No, do you know what? She just had a very good public facade. Of course she was off seeing other men.
Not necessarily.
She's the Queen of England. You would though, wouldn't you?
Who though? I don't know.
People we don't
How do you
know
get away
about.
with it?
Harry Belafonte.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody seems to have shagged Harry Belafonte.
That's very true.
I bet the Queen. Let's ship them right now. QE2. Oh,
Yeah.
ship. Queen Elizabeth II, Harry Belafonte.
All right.
It happened.
Let's say that happened.
Allegedly.
Anyone who is a royalist or isn't a royalist would still say that the Queen did the best job. Can't knock her.
Yeah.
Anyone before or since is going to... Okay, Queen Victoria was quite good at it as well.
Yeah, but she didn't save Jumbo the elephant, Queen Victoria, so I can't...
Yeah, okay, just the
everything
Queen.
Else she did.
Hard act to follow is all I want to say.
Like I say, I'm not a royalist by any stretch, but the one thing I do recognise, in terms of the job description of being head of the sovereign state, Queen Elizabeth II did the best job possible that a human being can do.
I think.
And if she didn't, if she didn't, then she certainly did a good job in making us all think she did.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. It says in the middle of this book, it says the Queen said to Charles that she was going to have to postpone handing over the job to him because of his marriage state. And he was really upset about that.
He didn't talk to her for a while.
Yeah. But to me, that's actually a real surprise that she was even considering handing over the reins.
Yeah.
Because I just thought she was going to be Queen till she died.
Yeah.
So I was half expecting that he would get it a bit earlier, you think. That's odd. I mean, he only married Camilla what seems like a few years ago. It's probably 20 years, but it feels like...
a long time ago.
Was it?
Yeah, like 15 years, I think.
All right, that's not that long ago. Not really.
How long's Diana been dead? 25?
He's been going out with her since 1979 or something. Because it's 2003 now, I realise now.
It's 2023 now.
Oh shit, that's what I meant. Oh my God.
Where's Diana? Let's put Diana in the flat. Her parents buy her first flat.
Yes.
And she moves in some of her friends. So she's a 17, 18.
Yeah.
And then she gets like 3 of her friends to move in. And they're 4 young teenage girls living in a flat in London, and they are having a whale of a time, as you would at that young age, having a flat in London.
They're all of the same class, aren't they? So they've got money.
And Diana says, it was juvenile, innocent, uncomplicated, and above all fun. I laughed my head off there. Little did she know that within a year, she'd be married to Prince Charles. And she actually says that was the happiest time of her life. Yeah. And you kind of think, it's such a shame that just that 1 year in the flat with her friends was, she became a beloved worldwide figure. But the happiest time of her life was just when she was in this flat and she was a kindergarten teacher. And she cleaned her sister's friend's flat for £1 an hour. That's amazing. It's interesting actually, because she moved from that massive maintained house into a flat with her friends, and they just used to eat bowls of cereal.
Yeah, they had cleaning rotors.
So they weren't like making food and stuff, because they probably had never had to. Oh no, but she did take cookery classes. Yeah, but it was for like cordon bleu.
Of course it was.
Food, so stuff you wouldn't eat at home anyway.
Souffle.
Apparently her borscht was very good.
Is that a euphemism?
Her borscht and her brownies, it said.
No.
Her brownies were like the best in West London.
Right, so now it's 1980 and Charles was very happy with his bachelor life. He was 33 years old and the pressure's really on him to provide heirs.
Yes.
He's getting old. So he focuses in on Di. She's 19. She is hanging out with him anyway at this point, and she mentions to him that he looks so sad because recently Lord Mountbatten died. He was murdered.
Yes, blown up by the IRA.
Yeah. The funeral was on television and Di said, you look so sad, you need someone to look after you. And that really sort of made him look at her in a different light, even though she was so young. You know
what shouldn't be forgotten here is that Diana's dad was 12 years older than her mum.
Yeah.
And that's the same age gap between Charles and Diana.
It's not a bad age gap. It's just that she was 19 and very innocent.
Yeah, it's not a bad age gap if you're 40.
She was a bit more worldly.
50.
Yeah, she weirdly wasn't.
There's the age gap. There's also the massive power imbalance because he is heir to the throne.
Yeah.
And she's shy.
Very shy, yeah.
She wasn't until she kind of got put into this situation, I think.
A little bit shy in a way.
But at school, this is interesting. There was one night in the boarding school where the girl said to Diana, go down to the gates. There's somebody there that's got some sweets for us. And so she ran down in the dark. Just so happened at the same time, one of the girls got a pain in her stomach. So they called for the matron. They saw the empty bed. They called the police to come and find Diana, which is an expellable offence to do something like that. So her parents were called in. And her parents thought it was hilarious. And her dad said, good on you, I never thought you had it in you.
Yeah.
So I think at home she was probably a bit quiet as far as her parents were concerned. Yeah. And they were kind of delighted that she'd done
had a
this
personality.
Prank. Yeah. The 4 girls in the flat, they used to go out in Diana's car at night raising mischief around London.
Yeah, that's true. Ringing on doorbells, running away and other such japes.
I think, didn't somebody date one of the girls and didn't then return her call? So they went out and egged and flowered his car.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's incredibly shy, but I think to put any 19-year-old in with the royal family, you don't want, and nobody looked after her. Nobody come to meet her and show her what she had to do.
Yeah, she wasn't equipped at all. You can see that when you read her life up to that point. It's not like she'd even had a boyfriend or anything.
Yeah.
That was her first love. And she actually fell in love with Charles for real and thought he was in love with her. It's a very naive, innocent love as far as she's concerned. She had no knowledge of his past, apart from her older sister, and she didn't know what he was like. You read this book and you can see where it all goes wrong, step by step. Okay, she's dating Charles and it's all going right. She's gone to Balmoral. She seems to have got approval. Everyone likes her. Then they get engaged. I mean, it really isn't a romance. It's just, it's very step-by-step technical. Once they're engaged, she gets moved into Buckingham Palace and she's completely alone for 3 months leading up to the wedding. She barely sees Charles. He doesn't even ring her. Nobody's there to greet her. There's a note from Camilla, which just makes it worse. Yeah. And she's just not been nurtured. So the rot sets in mentally. You can see the foundation, the mental stability is already being really chipped away at from that point on. I
kind of got the day that she turned up and there was no one to meet her other than a member of staff. I thought, Chris, it's like your first day at work.
Yeah.
Somebody comes and gets you. They take you to your room. But actually worse than your first day at work, and that you don't get a manual or anything telling you what you need to do.
And there's no romance. It's all, she's thinking it's romantic. The relationship is a job. There's no relationship there.
Yeah.
And so she's already really messed up in her head because she's thinking she's in love and there's no love.
Yeah.
There's no body there. There's no Charles, there's no boyfriend. She doesn't even have a boyfriend, you know what I mean? It's
I was amazed, actually, that whole 3 months between her moving in and them getting married, that Charles just didn't really bother with her at all.
I know.
She had to ring his office.
Yeah.
The only time he called her was when she had to ring his office, chasing him down.
Yeah. And she's just living in this world alone.
Yeah, she's just young and bored. Yeah, I bet she just wants to be back with her
friends.
Yeah, of course she does.
It's horrible because sometimes I think, wow, she really was quite crazy and unhinged. When you read this book step by step, you go, oh, that made her unhinged.
Yeah.
She was delicate anyway.
Yeah.
But at 19, to go through this, I challenge anyone to mentally survive this, the pressures. It's harsh, isn't it? So she became bulimic in those 3 months.
Yeah.
That's the emotional turmoil she was going through. And there's one point where she has a big party and she's obviously voicing a bit of her worry to her friends. And they say, you're on the tea towels now, you can't back out.
The tea towels have been printed.
Yeah. I think, bloody hell, when we were kids, those tea towels were everywhere. The memorabilia was insane.
Yeah.
It was all Charles and Di. Everyone had the mugs, the teacups, everything.
Yeah.
The flags were out. And there was this terrified young girl alone in a palace whilst they were all over the mugs. You're being sold a lie.
Yeah.
A propaganda. It's just propaganda and she's just a pawn in it.
Do you know, I was thinking about how Prince Charles just didn't think it necessary to even go and see her a couple of times and have dinner with her.
Yeah, it's actually cruel.
I'm kind of thinking, you know how men are generally quite entitled anyway, and I was kind of thinking the worst type of man when it comes to arrogance and entitlement and privilege is a prince, is a royal prince.
That's right.
Because they've literally had everything done for them since the day they were born. He knows he's going to be king. Yeah. It's like you could not help but be the most entitled man in the country. Yeah. And so he has this young woman that he's going to marry as part of his job. Why would he go and see her? She's just there when he needs her to be there. Yeah.
But what an epic lack of human understanding. Yeah. And, you know, he is a humanitarian himself. He really cares about the environment. He's a vegetarian, for God's sake. How can you not have a sense that this person might need some care? He isn't an idiot. It is neglect and cruelty. I would say it is, actually, thinking about it.
But also, at the same time, okay, Prince Charles is treating her like that. But you know what? Everybody else in the royal household is as well.
Oh, they all...
nobody's coming to see if she's right. True. The Queen isn't coming and seeing if she's all right. I mean, she should.
True. And then she says she goes into one of these offices where parcels are coming in. She insists on opening this parcel to Charles. And they're trying to stop her. And it's gold embossed thing with the initials of Charles and Camilla's nicknames.
Fred and Gladys.
Yeah.
F and G.
And she's been told, I think they tell her that's what it is. Yeah. They don't even try and hide it. So she has a big emotional breakdown to Charles. What is this? Is it what's going on here? And he says, yes, Camilla's very important to me. It's our nicknames. And I'm going to give it her as a present. He doesn't even try and make her feel better.
Yeah, the Monday before the wedding, they were meant to have lunch together. Charles didn't come, and Diana says she knows that Charles went to give Camilla that gift. Yeah. A couple of days before the wedding.
Yeah, and then I think at the wedding he wears C&C cufflinks.
And it's on the honeymoon.
On the honeymoon.
He comes down like the first night with cufflinks to say C&C, Charles and Camilla. Yeah. What a horrible man. But also, when they're comparing engagements in their diaries... Charles opens up his diary on the honeymoon and 2 photographs of Camilla fall out.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, oh my God.
If you are trying to send a woman insane, that's exactly how you do it. Yeah. Talk about, what's that phrase? Gaslighting. Gaslighting. He doesn't gaslight, he neon lights. It's like flashing neon lights. There's not even nothing quiet about it. It's torture.
I've just had a theory just flashed through my mind.
What?
I wonder if Camilla put her photographs in Charles's diary.
She didn't need to, though. He didn't give a shit.
He treated Diana so
badly. He did. He totally broke her. It is his fault.
So unthinking with almost everything he did.
It's actually thinking. He's deliberately thinking, fuck you. I'm with Camilla. You need to learn your place. That is actually what he's sort of saying. He's actually making sure that she knows that it's not all about her.
Gosh, it's just so awful. He's like 32 and she's like 19. She's there with no friends or anything, and he's really just not hiding anything.
Because he's the future king. Why should he? He should be allowed a mistress and she should be the wife. That's how it is, and she needs to know her place. It is what he's saying. And she thought she was in love, and it was a normal love, and it just wasn't. And the realisation of that when the whole world is celebrating this love, the disparity between the dream and the reality, that's what really just kills her. It actually ultimately is, isn't it?
Yeah. You know, there's a bit before they get married where Prince Charles has to do a 5-week tour of Australia. Yeah. And Diana goes to see him leave, and they're in the lounge before he has to board the plane. And the phone rings, and it's Camilla. And Prince Charles speaks to Camilla on the phone, using up the time when him and Diana... this is the beginning of their relationship. There's a famous bit of news footage where Charles gets on the plane and Diana is crying. And she's like, I'm not crying because he's getting on the plane. I was crying because he was speaking to Camilla the whole time when we were supposed to be saying our goodbye.
What's sad is she wasn't equipped to deal with it. She was too young, too innocent, and so she broke down. And once she was bulimic and she's not eating properly, and you can't think straight when you're bulimic, it just is a downward spiral, a mental complete rabbit hole of madness that she descended into and didn't come out for about 10 years, really.
God, the lies they spun to us.
I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
That royal wedding was like the most watched TV thing worldwide at the time. And everybody did think it was this amazing
and
fairy tale.
And it looks like she's shy, whereas actually she's just really messed up in the head already. Yeah. But it took her about 10 years before she actually got proper help for the bulimia. The doctor said, if you can just keep down your food for 6 months, your life is going to be completely different. And once she did that, she can think straighter and she can start taking control of her life. Before that, you can see how it was a really bad situation, but with the bulimia, she just didn't have the mental strength.
Yeah, and when you're vomiting up everything you're eating, you're not getting the minerals that you need for actually your mind to work
function
properly.
Your brain.
So
that's right.
Depression
and the crying all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
And the more she's acting like that and crying and seeming hysterical, the more he's just going to Camilla, because he's like, bloody hell, I can't deal with this mad woman.
Yeah.
It's just a total self-spiralling,
awful,
circling misery for everybody, because Charles isn't going to be happy with this. She's not happy.
It's also not a nice situation for Camilla either. It's not a good situation for any of them, but it's just the way they behaved. And they're all adults. And Camilla and Charles are older. They could have just looked after Diana.
They could have just looked after her.
Yeah.
They were old enough to know better. They weren't that young, you know.
No,
they
knew,
shouldn't have been
they knew
behaving
what they were
like that at all.
Yeah. They were
really,
considerably older than Diana.
Yeah. They really threw her under the bus.
Yeah.
They had a trip to Australia around this time and they went to Canada, so it was a chance for them to be a couple again. But all that happened was that she was so popular and everyone wanted to see Di. Apparently, when they get out of the car, the side that Charles got out on, they all went, oh. The whole, I mean, that's gonna weigh you down.
Everybody wants to see Diana.
Yeah, they just want to see Di.
Charles is boring.
Yeah, she's jealous of him having another woman. He's jealous of her having the world.
Yeah. Everyone
that's a good bit of competition,
Diana.
Actually.
Do you know what? I don't think that hurts him. You know what I was saying earlier about a prince being the most arrogant, entitled, privileged person? I think it's good, actually.
Yeah, a little bit humbling.
Yeah.
And a little bit empowering for Di. But it's that sad thing where the world loves you, but when you go home, no one loves you.
Yeah.
You get adored and then treated like shit at home. Yeah, there's a point where, and it's quite well documented, I think it was an interview, Di said, I love you, and he said, whatever that means.
Yeah.
He did say it in an interview as well, I think.
A lot has been made of that quote, whatever love means. And you kind of think, what does it mean, actually?
But you can see where he's coming from.
Tell me now, what does it mean?
I can't. I read this in, I think, Smash Hits in the 80s, right? That in Greek, there's 7 words for the word love. And that just blew my mind because, of course, there should be at least 7 words because I love my dog. I love pickled onions. You know, I love my mother. This should all be different. I love my partner. They should all be different words because there's different types of love.
So, really, by saying that, you would agree with the phrase, whatever love means. No, because this is the thing. I think I think Prince Charles has been demonised for these 3 words, whatever love means, and I think it's just a spin that's put on them because it's a fairy tale romance that we were all told to buy into. The man saying whatever love means, it really jars with that. He's not supposed to say that.
Thing is, he loves Camilla and he's doing a job. He doesn't love her.
Do you think there was any affection between Charles and Diana whatsoever?
Probably not.
He must have liked her to have chosen her in the first place.
Well, I mean, she's beautiful. He would have definitely fancied her. So there's that. So probably he fancies her a bit, not love. He loved and lusted Camilla.
Yeah.
Probably fancied Di a bit and it was good for the job.
But she loved him, right?
She loved him because he was just saying some words and paying her some attention.
And he was a prince.
And he was a prince and she was buying into the fairy tale. Yeah. That's the only part she can be responsible for, is that she bought into the fairy tale.
Yeah, but she was young. I don't blame any woman. It's like society is set up.
It's society's fault, that is.
Everything from rom-coms to soap operas to whatever. It's like young girls grow up with this image of meeting a prince, and she happened to do it.
But you know what? Because all this is out now, like you say, I think it's different. I think the dream has changed because Frozen is all today's young girls' princess dreams.
What is that? What happens in that?
It's about loving your sister. The happy ending of that is that their sisters find each other again. And that's what everyone's dressing up as princesses. It's not about finding the prince. In fact, the men betray those women in that.
So the narrative
and that's the little girl's
changing.
Princess dream, but the ending isn't, the happy ending is different.
Yeah.
It's just about loving each other and supporting each other.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to end in a wedding. So yeah, that's some progress.
So that's Diana's legacy.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Or Charles's. We are about to have a coronation and we're in a very different world.
Nobody cares about it, do they?
I don't care.
No, but I just get the general feeling like the whole country doesn't care, apart from maybe a few grannies or whatever.
I just don't know because I'm not paying any attention.
Because there's nothing to pay attention to. I'm generally just not even hearing about it.
Because if it was out there, I'd be forced to know.
Yeah, you'd know. Every time you walk into the supermarket, you see bunting.
You can't follow the Queen.
Yeah, you can't.
You just
follow
literally can't follow that act. She's the best. I always thought that they were great ambassadors for our country in terms of PR. I really like our marketing. I like the Union Jack flag. I like the crown. That you go in a tourist shop, it's good. It's a good look.
Yeah, and they're good for tourism revenue.
Yeah.
But I also think that will continue without a monarch on the throne. I think people would still come for the history of Queen Elizabeth II. And I think you can still have all that as like a museum of history. We don't need a sitting monarch anymore.
No, but that's what I mean. I always thought that. But now the Queen's dead, it's like it's died with it. To me, the whole monarchy's died with the Queen because no one can ever be as good as her.
Yeah.
Now we're putting a philandering,
a sausage-fingered philanderer.
Yeah. On the throne. With all this history that everyone knows, with tampon talk in my head,
I know.
The magic's gone.
Yeah.
And I think he's a good fellow for many reasons. He's stood up for the environment when that was not cool to do so. He's supported young people.
I was really surprised about this book. It said that the environment and ecology was actually Prince Philip's.
Yeah, that's true. And he's quite
pursuit.
Annoyed that Charles had taken it on and made it his own.
Yeah, who knew, hey?
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's helped a lot of young people with his Prince Charles Trust.
Yeah.
And he's always been really involved.
That was also interesting that Diana wanted to start the Princess of Wales Trust.
Yeah.
And he said no because she was way more popular than him. And he knew that she would get all the funding and all the money.
Yeah, that's true. So, and he's really into theatre. I like a lot about him. But I don't need him to be the king.
Yeah.
He's just a fellow.
Nobody needs him to be the king. He is basically a tourist attraction now.
Yes.
So we could just put a waxwork in there.
Yeah.
But I don't think it needs to, certainly doesn't need to continue to William and Catherine. I mean, who's more boring than Charles and Camilla? William and Catherine.
Anyway, she was suicidal to the point where the doctors were recommending drugs for her, but she got saved by getting pregnant.
With William.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it probably did save her life. When pregnant, she'd hurled herself down the stairs in Buckingham Palace.
This is shocking.
Seemingly trying to kill herself, but she says it was actually more of a cry for help.
Yeah.
And the Queen found her and was very shocked.
It says that the Queen was frightened and was shaking because she found Diana after she'd thrown herself.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine throwing yourself down the stairs. That's quite... You're at a low point.
Yeah, you really are. And in my mind, I'm not picturing a small house stairs. I'm picturing a sweeping staircase.
Yeah. I was just surprised that she made so many, not attempts to end her life, because like you say, they were more of a cry for help.
Yeah.
But she self-harmed a lot.
Yeah.
And this book says that she threw herself against a glass display cabinet at Kensington Palace. She slashed her wrists with a razor.
Yeah. She slashed her wrists in front of Charles as well. He must have started thinking, what the hell is this woman?
And she cut herself with the serrated edge of a lemon slicer. And while she was arguing with Charles, she picked up a penknife and cut her chest and thighs. And it says, although she was bleeding, her husband studiously scorned her. And he thought she was faking her problems. I mean, at what point do you not say...
idea.
I mean, you're right. From his point of view, he's probably like, oh my God.
I've married a nutcase.
Yeah, but
not thinking I've created a nutcase, which he had.
Yeah, he had.
But he just didn't have the emotional intelligence to understand.
Just get her help.
And then that classic bulimia thing is that nobody ever knows. Go down to the fridge in the middle of the night and they're like, how come she's so thin? She eats all the time and nobody understands. It wasn't talked about. Bulimia wasn't a word then. I think it came out with this book.
The first time I heard about bulimia was it the Martin Bashir? Because she did a big interview on TV around the time of this book came out, right? And she said that she was bulimic, and I didn't even know what it was.
Yeah, she introduced the word to most of us. Yeah. So nobody would have known. She's binge eating. They hide it really well, so they couldn't help her in that way.
Oh my God, that poor woman, her whole life. No wonder she said that the time in the flat with her friends was the happiest time of her life, because it just got pretty grim pretty quickly.
To hell. Yeah, so she had second baby not too long after, and that's when it really went wrong because Charles went to the hospital and went, oh no, he wanted a girl, which is ever so strange.
I find that strange.
Because they always want boys.
Yeah. But I guess he had his heir at that point.
So he wanted a girl.
He wanted a girl. And Diana knew he wanted a girl, and she knew it was a boy, so she kept it from him. Yeah. He didn't know until it was born.
Yeah.
He didn't know until Harry was born that it was a boy, and he was visibly upset about it because he wanted a girl.
Yeah. And he said, apparently, oh God, it's a boy. And he's even got red hair.
Yeah.
And because there were rumours then that her lover was James Hewitt.
Yeah. Oh, now here's another thing. So this whole time that Charles and Camilla are carrying on, Diana has started to see other men.
She has, yes.
So you know what? It's
not
kind
the
of
whole
like,
time, but she eventually does.
Yeah. Because she's just left on her own all the time.
Yeah, well, she's gone about 3 years.
Yeah.
In a marriage where her husband's got another woman. So, I mean, that's quite a long time.
Yeah, people have kind of said it was a bit hypocritical of her to keep going on about Camilla. It's not, because it's an entirely different thing.
And she's still stuck in this marriage. Even if she didn't mention it after the first 3 years, that's what caused all her problems.
If Diana starts seeing other men, it's because she's constantly left on her own. She's unhappy. She's got no one to talk to. Yeah. She just needs a shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
That's why she is seeing other men. Yeah. It's not...
She's not getting much attention.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the beginning of the end, him saying that. It's mad, that red hair thing, when you think about it, because Diana's blonde. It's a red-haired family.
It's
her side is.
Yeah, the Spencers are gingers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her brother's a ginger.
Yeah.
Can I just talk about... There's this bodyguard mentioned who really does become Diana's confidant because she has no one.
Yeah.
There's a bodyguard called Barry Manakee.
Yeah.
And he's been with the Royals for a long time, but he kind of becomes a bit close with Diana. It does not say that anything happened between them whatsoever.
At least she had a friend.
She had a friend, and then they got rid of him.
Oh, yeah.
So the one person in that whole royal community that she had, they got rid of. Then he died in a motorbike accident.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was really surprised about that. And because of the conspiracy theories that surround Diana, it kind of makes you think...
You knew too much.
Yeah.
Dodgy, isn't it?
I think there is something a bit dodgy about it, for sure. Yeah, poor man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, around this time, the Queen, I think, says, could you bring a couple of your friends to this party? Sort of young, eligible women of a certain age, and one of her friends is Sarah Ferguson.
Yeah, I loved reading about Fergie. Yeah, I loved reading about Fergie in this
that's
book.
Quite good. And that she was a breath of fresh air. She was just totally fun.
She was equipped. I don't know how old she was, but I'm guessing she was early 20s, so she's not like a young teenager like Diana.
She's much more worldly and less romantic.
She's old, and it just sounds like she just kind of stormed in and said, hey, everyone, I'm here. And just got on with everyone and was fun and bowled everyone over. I loved that.
She had a boyfriend when she went to the palace, and Andrew had a girlfriend who was a soft porn star.
Oh, Koo Stark.
And but they just hit it off immediately. And they ended up going on his boat, which is called HMS Brazen.
Is it?
Yeah. I wrote that down. I was like, wow, wild parties on HMS Brazen.
The thing with Sarah Ferguson coming in and being this breath of fresh air, of course, Charles starts saying to Diana, why can't you be more like Fergie?
Yeah.
Other people are saying to Diana, this is how you should be approaching things, like the way Fergie is.
Yeah, so she tries to be a bit more fun, and it totally backfires. I remember this as well from the press. I remember they all went skiing together, and the press were there, and her and Fergie were sort of having a laugh.
Yeah.
And then there was a backlash saying, why are we paying these royals to go skiing? That's what it was. Why are you taxpayers' money and these posh people are just twatting about, you know?
Yeah, and Diana went to a rock concert with Fergie and some friends and had fun, and she wore leather trousers.
Yeah,
and then that was a black mark from the palace because the future queen should not be seen wearing leather trousers. Yeah. So she was trying to come out of her shell more and go out and be more like Fergie because they were all telling her to.
Yeah.
And so she did, and then it was wrong.
Yeah. So she has to find out who she is. Am I this happy person? Am I a quiet person? I don't know who I actually am. Haven't had time to find out. And she ends up getting into spiritual stuff. That's when she actually got her bulimia sorted out there around that time. And she can actually get her head together and start to take a bit of control. And at that point, she goes to a party at Camilla's, that she knows Charles is at, and nobody expected Di to be there.
Turn up,
so everyone's like, why is Di? She can feel it in the whole place. She says, I'd like to speak to both of you, takes them aside and says, I know what's going on. And after that, she said it doesn't consume her as much. It's just out there.
Yeah, the situation doesn't change, but she's kind of got it off her chest to a certain extent.
It doesn't have a hold on her as much after that. So she's getting
put
control.
Up with it. But she's put up with it for years at that point.
She has.
Yeah, but you're right. That's a real turning point for her. She's becoming stronger.
Yeah, she's getting stronger. And it really is, eating properly is the basis of it.
Yes. Diana's dad died. I can't remember where they were, but they were out of the country and Diana's dad died. And obviously, she's very upset about this and she wants to go home as soon as possible. Prince Charles says, I'm coming with you. She says, no, you're not, because they're not getting on at this point.
No, they're very much separated, basically.
Yeah, so they have a massive argument because she knows that he's coming back for public relations. So they argue. She says no, he says yes, and in the end, the Queen gets on the phone and says Charles has to come home with you. He has to be seen. Coming
to be
home
by
with
your
you.
side when your father's died.
So Diana gave in, and she said they flew back together. They were papped or whatever, getting off the plane because Diana's dad had died, and she went one way and he went the other. And he spent 2 days up in Highgrove or whatever as she went to and when he went to the funeral, he just flew in with a helicopter to be seen there and went again. He literally just went for the photo opportunity.
But around this time, it was a useless photo opportunity. All these were because everyone could see, his body language, everyone could see it.
You could see it, but I kind of think when you hear Diana's dad died and there's a picture of Charles and Diana in the paper, I think people just more or less think, oh, that's nice there. They know, at this point we know they have their differences, but it's nice that he's standing by her. She accused him of the same thing, having photos taken with the boys, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because he was very much an absent dad. And I know the Prince of Wales is a busy man. She said that they would go out on bicycles together and have some photos taken, and then those photos would be sent out to the press, and Diana's like, he never spends any time with the children. Yeah. But the PR needs of the future king to look like a brilliant dad.
Yeah. Part of finding who she was is realising that she is a really caring person and she spent a lot of time in hospitals. And it started one at a time. She was in hospital anyway. She realised if she went round and visited other people, it really helped them. And that really gave her a sense of purpose. And that really helped her out of this whole mess, didn't it?
Yeah. She finally found something she could do.
Yeah.
That she was good at.
Because other than being a fashion icon, she was useless. She didn't have a purpose.
And also she was getting something back from those people that she was helping, like first hand. Yes. She was the whole time in the royal household. Nobody was bothering with her.
Yeah.
And she was saying that even though she would go out and do all these public appearances and she'd do everything that was asked of her, even though she was incredibly ill at times, nobody ever come up and said thank you.
Yeah.
Nobody ever patted her on the back. She was literally just left to her own devices whilst fulfilling this punishing schedule of meets and greets and stuff. She finds somewhere where she can go into hospices and deal with people one-on-one, and she gets immediate response.
And she always followed through with families and kids. And
amazing, actually.
It's really nice. And she had a dancer friend who was ill, and she saw him right to the end. She spent loads of time. They were all saying, you don't need to be there that much.
Yeah.
So like, no, she wanted to be there.
He also ran like the AIDS crisis centre, so she had quite a few dealings with. Do you know what? I was watching the George Michael documentary on Channel 4. Now, I'd always known about Diana, that very famous moment of where she went into the AIDS clinic and shook hands with a man who had AIDS.
Right at that time when people thought you might be able to get it from touching people, no one, it was like lepers.
Yeah. People with AIDS were demonised, right? And I always knew she did that. Yeah. And then I watched this documentary about George Michael because George Michael's partner died of AIDS.
Yeah.
And they showed the clip. It really affected me just how important that was for somebody to do that.
Yeah.
And of all the people to do that, actually the Princess of Wales, who shouldn't really be doing that. A member of the royal family shouldn't be going into an AIDS clinic and hugging people. And she did it. And I just felt such profound... I was just really moved by it. It kind of made sense to me. Now, I was young at the time, and you kind of, good for her. Diana went in and touched the AIDS patient. But now knowing more about what AIDS is and what it did and how it devastated so many lives, the fact that Diana went in and did that is just actually quite incredible.
Yeah, and it did change people's minds. It completely changed things. It massive impact.
Yeah.
And she kept doing it, though. She was really starting to do things that she cared about that no one was telling her to do.
She was changing the world, actually.
She did, actually.
Yeah.
She did actually make a massive difference.
So all that awful stuff she went through, actually, she did turn it around at some point in her life.
She did, and she had an amazing way about her that really connected personally with people. You know, not just talking down, or she really connecting across to people. It's a real connection, which is why she got nicknamed the People's Princess.
And Camilla can never live up to that.
Absolutely not. No way.
Horseface and sausage fingers on the throne. Shut up.
Oh, this is really interesting to read this book just before the coronation, because I sort of forgot I had an opinion in a way, because I just haven't thought about it. But reading this book brings it all back. And you're right. I don't care about those people. She does not deserve to be the queen. And he did. Oh, it's just nonsense.
The lunacy of the whole thing, if you want to talk about the monarchy and how they do everything for public appearances, the one thing they could have done to transform the royal family and take it into the next stratosphere was look after Diana.
Yeah.
She was the one person. She started doing all this world-changing stuff actually when she started separating herself from the royal family. Yeah. If they'd have looked after her, we'd love the whole royal family team.
That's true.
And I actually think they're making the same mistake with Harry and Meghan. Right. I think they're the people actually who were kind of carrying on Diana's work, and they're the people who could take it into the next century. That's true. And they cut them off. And because they've cut them off, they're boring, they're old-fashioned, nobody wants to know them. The young people still love Harry and Meghan. They really do. They needed to be part of the royal family for the royal family to stay relevant. Yeah. I just think the royal family kind of don't have a grip on reality because they don't live a real life.
Oh, yeah, that's very true.
I've met him and Camilla, by the way.
Have you?
Yeah, they were very nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is a very nice person on a level.
He really helped me out of a tight spot, actually. I won't go into it. Wow. But I was working for one of their garden parties, and this flipping massive fashion designer kicked me out of the room I was using for the green room for all my celebrities that were coming. And he was so vile, but he won the argument. Yeah. And Prince Charles and Camilla were there. Right. So I just went straight up to them. And I said, I've got a problem. They're taking my green room away from me. And I've got Boris Johnson, Deborah Mead and Sunita. I said, and I've got nowhere to put them. And Prince Charles said to Tom, go and open up the house for him.
All right.
And we went into Clarence's house and they gave me the greeting room, I don't know what they call it, the drawing room of Clarence's house with the doors that opened up onto the garden. So it was much nicer than the green room I had. And it was like, no question, you can have that, go and do it.
Wow. I would like to add this to the mix. Prince Charles used to visit Stratford-upon-Avon all the time, the Royal Shakespeare Theatre, because he's a patron of it and he loves theatre. And he used to come on his own. Sometimes he's had a couple of bodyguards. He used to sometimes drive himself, because I grew up in Stratford. He's always, I've seen him myself in person many times. And I've heard so many lovely things about people in the audience that just said he just started talking to students, said, how are you finding the language? And he just initiated conversations with people. Really, really nice. He sounds like a really nice person as a person.
So why wasn't he nice to Diana? I mean, all of this aside, he's actually quite nice. I mean, Hitler was a vegetarian, wasn't he?
Oh, bloody hell. But here's the thing. Maybe he was angry with his mother. Maybe he was angry with the establishment for making him marry the woman he didn't love. So maybe he was taking that out on Diana because he was just angry with the situation, not thinking that it was a human being who had their own hopes and dreams and that he would create a monster for 10 years.
Also, if he wasn't equipped to handle her mental illness, and if he had no experience of it,
which he created, though, by being an arsehole.
Yeah, I know, but if he doesn't know how to process it, he's probably treated everyone like that to a certain extent. Yeah. It's just that she's very close to him because she's his wife and the mother of his children. So she gets the worst of it, his spoilt, entitled behaviour. It drives her mad. He's done that. He can't see that he's done that. He just sees her as a nut.
Yeah.
And he's not equipped to deal with it.
No.
But he could have been nicer about it.
He could have definitely been nicer about it. That initial 3 months in the palace destroyed her.
Yeah.
And by the time he comes to be her husband, she's not the woman he thought she was.
Yeah.
The damage is done, though. Not that he even tries to mend it.
Yeah.
But anyway, basically, he's probably a really nice bloke, if you knew him. I don't doubt that, actually.
I think if you don't have to spend much time with him and you meet him when he's doing something nice, like in the theatre or having one of his parties, yeah, he's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you something else from working with him.
Yeah.
So now I've got this new room and it opens up onto the garden.
Yeah.
You know, he's known for his horticulturalism in his gardens.
He used to be famous for talking to his plants, didn't he?
Right. Well, I walked around the garden and there was a lemon tree.
Yeah.
And the lemons were amazing.
Yeah.
And I thought, how the hell have they grown these lemons in the
Middle of
grounds of
London.
Clarence House?
Yeah.
They were sewed on.
Get lost.
There was thread on them, like blue thread. They were sewed onto the trees.
Oh my God.
The whole thing was like theatre.
Fake.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you kind of think, if he's known for being a gardener and stuff, I think part of that is actually having a couple of unsuccessful lemon trees, maybe. But they wanted everything to look perfect.
Wow, that's interesting.
Oh, it's maybe a bit of a metaphor for the royal family.
Oh.
Everything was hanging by a thread.
Literally. It's messed up, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole thing is messed up. Do you know what? It must be an extraordinary life. It's hard for us to even comprehend actually what it's like. And so therefore, maybe we shouldn't judge too harshly, but we can.
We can when given the facts. It's an interesting read anyway, to actually, you think you know everything, but to actually hear her words, knowing they're her words, and it's real.
This book just consolidated everything I kind of knew about her. It just reinforced just how terribly she was treated.
True.
Unnecessarily so.
But it also has really brought home the other side of Charles not understanding, and she must have seemed like a madwoman to him. Whenever he saw her, she's crying, cutting herself, throwing herself down the stairs, trying to kill herself. He really would have thought, oh my God, I've married a madwoman. Yeah. So there's that side of it as well.
Yeah, no, I get it. It must have been just like not ideal for him.
Yeah.
But
it's just a big fat horror story of a mess of a marriage.
He could have been so much better about it, and I don't know.
Well, I mean, I would have just watched his coronation with a mild interest, and now I'm a bit depressed about it.
Yeah. I wasn't going to watch it at all. I don't think I'm going to watch it now. But knowing that Camilla is Lady Macbeth does kind of make it a bit interesting.
It does.
She got to be queen.
Yeah, she did. It's a soap opera, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's madness.
Do you know what? It's going back in time. It's such a shame that they couldn't have just said to Diana, "Here's the deal.
Yeah.
I'm in love with Camilla. I can't marry her. Yeah. I need somebody to birth some heirs for me. We're going to look after you. Just be seen in public with me. Just basically give her a job in a nice house and her kids."
Yeah, an actual arranged marriage.
Yeah,
which you've gone for it.
Still tell us all that because
she's
ultimately, she would have fallen in love with someone else.
She would never have done it. It would have been someone else.
It was always destined to end in tragedy, wasn't it?
It's the thing, looking back, how duped we were.
Yeah, which does make me think as well. Well, look at like Prince Andrew, everything he was doing. It's only the last couple of years that we found out what he was really like.
Yeah, it's very true.
And so then it makes you think about Edward and Sophie, or actually all of them. They all have to have a public image.
Yeah.
Don't they? But they are all people. And they are all privileged people with entitlement.
Yeah.
They're going to be doing some pretty awful things.
Yeah. It's like we say, he could have done everything he did. He just didn't need to be so cruel about it to another human being who was an innocent and a romantic. Yeah.
I think if he had just even a couple of times just seemed to do the right thing, I think we'd all have a different, we may even have a bit of affection for him. But no, I think you're right. I think we all love the Queen, whether you were royalist or not. I think nobody really hated it. If you're not a royalist, you can still see she's doing a good job.
Yeah.
And then she died.
And it's over.
And it's over.
Monarchy
should we just abolish the monarchy right here, right now?
The thing about saying the Queen, the monarchy's probably died with her.
Yeah. Our perception
really,
and our love for the monarchy.
Me saying that out loud is just actually solidified how I feel about it. And that's why I'm not interested in Charles, because...
I also think we have never really forgiven Charles about Diana.
I don't think we have.
We love Diana.
Yeah.
All right.
It's over.
Monarchy is abolished. It's over. All right. See you next week.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Thrift Shop Biography. We love making this podcast and we're absolutely thrilled that so many of you are already listening. We're new to this and you could really help us out by leaving us a review somewhere, wherever you listen to this podcast. And if you could share us, tell your friends about us or drop some links on social media. We have a Facebook page called Thrift Shop Biography, so make sure you come over there to hear about the episodes first and what else we're up to. Okay, see you next week. And if you're new here, there are loads more episodes now to go and listen in the back catalogue, so make sure you go and enjoy them. Okay, thank you very much.